Hello everyone, in this video I'm reacting to Daylight Saving Time Explained. The original video is linked in the
Every
description.
year, some countries move their clocks forward in the
Yes,
spring, only to move them back in the autumn. To the vast majority of the
I
world who
see.
doesn't participate in this odd clock fiddling, it seems a
Yes.
baffling thing to do. So what's the
Yeah.
reason behind it?
Mm-hmm.
The original idea, proposed by George Hudson, was to give people more sunlight in the summer. Of
I see.
course, it's
Yeah.
important to note that changing a clock doesn't actually make more sunlight. That's not how physics
Yes.
works. But
No.
by moving the clocks forward an hour, compared to all other human activity, the sun will seem to both rise and set later. The time
Yes.
when the clocks are moved forward is called daylight saving time, and the rest of the year is called standard time. This
Yes.
switch
I see.
effectively gives people more time to enjoy the sunshine and nice summer weather after work. Hudson,
Oh
in
wow.
particular, wanted more sunlight so he could spend more time adding to his insect collection.
I
When
see.
winter is coming, the clocks move back, presumably because people don't want to go outside anymore.
Yes.
But winter doesn't have this effect on everyone.
Yeah.
If you live in a tropical place like Hawaii, you really don't have to worry about seasons because they pretty much don't happen.
Yeah.
Every
I
day,
see.
all year, is sunny and beautiful, so Christmas is just as good of a day to hit the beach as any other.
I
And
see.
so,
Nice.
Hawaii is one of two states in the Union
Yes.
that ignore daylight saving time. But the further you travel from the equator in either direction, the more the seasons assert themselves and you get colder
Yes.
and darker winters, making
I see.
summertime much more valuable to the locals. So it's no
Uh-huh.
surprise that the further a country is from the equator, the more likely it uses daylight saving time.
Yeah.
Hudson proposed his idea in Wellington in 1895,
Yeah.
but it wasn't well received, and it took until 1916 for Germany to be the first country
Okay.
to put it into practice. Though the uber industrious
Mm-hmm.
Germans were less concerned with catching butterflies on a fine summer evening than they
I
were with
see.
saving coal to feed the war machine.
Uh-huh.
The Germans thought daylight saving time would conserve energy. The reasoning
Mm-hmm.
goes that it encourages people to stay out later in the summer and thus use less artificial lighting. This
I
sounds
see.
logical, and it may have worked in the more regimented society of 100 years ago, but does it
Yes.
still work in the modern world? That turns out to be
I
a
see.
surprisingly difficult question to answer. For example, take mankind's greatest invention, air
Yes.
conditioning, the magic
Yeah.
box of cool that makes otherwise uninhabitable sections of the world quite tolerable places to live. But
Yeah.
pumping heat out of your house isn't cheap, and turning on one air conditioner is the same as running dozens of tungsten light bulbs. If people
Yes.
get more sunshine, but they don't use it to go outside, then daylight saving
Yes.
time might actually cost electricity, not save it. This is
Oh, wow.
particularly true in a place like Phoenix, where the average summer high is 107 degrees and the record is
Yes.
122. If you suggest to an Arizonan to change their clocks in the summer to get more sunshine, they laugh
Yeah.
in your face. Sun and higher electricity bills are not what they want, which is why
Yeah.
Arizona is the second state that never changes their clocks. Another
Yeah.
problem with trying to study daylight saving time is rapid changes in technology and electrical use.
Yeah.
As technology gets better and better and better, more electricity is dedicated to things that aren't light bulbs, and the lure of
Yes.
a hot, sweaty, mosquito-filled day outside is less appealing than technological entertainment and climate-controlled comfort inside. Also, the horrifically energy inefficient tungsten light bulbs that have remained
Yeah.
unchanged for a century are giving way to CFLs and LEDs, greatly
Yes.
reducing the amount of energy required to light a room.
Yeah.
So, even assuming that daylight saving time is effective, it's probably less effective with every passing year. The
Yes.
bottom line is while some studies say daylight saving time costs more electricity and others say it
Yeah.
saves electricity, the one thing they agree on is the effect size. Not 20% or 10%, but 1% or less, which,
Yeah.
in the United States, works out to be about $4 per household. $4
Oh, wow.
saved or spent on electricity over an entire year is not really a huge deal either way. So the question now becomes, is the hassle of switching clocks twice a year worth it?
Mm-hmm.
The most obvious trouble comes from sleep
Yeah.
deprivation, an already too common affliction in the Western world that daylight saving time makes measurably worse. With time tracking software, we can actually see that people are less productive the week after the clock changes. This comes with huge associated costs.
Oh wow.
To make things
480
worse,
million
most countries take away that hour of sleep on a Monday morning. Sleep deprivation can lead to heart attacks and suicides, and the daylight saving time Monday has a higher than normal spike in both.
Oh wow.
Other troubles come from scheduling meetings across time zones. Let's say you're trying to plan a three-way conference between New York, London, and Sydney. Not an easy
Yeah.
thing to do under the best of circumstances, but made extra difficult when they don't agree on when daylight saving time should start and end. In the spring,
Yeah.
Sydney is 11 hours ahead of London and New York is 5 hours behind. But then New
Oh,
York
wow.
is the first to enter daylight saving time and moves its clock forward an hour. 2 weeks later, London does the same. In one more week, Sydney, being on the opposite side of the world, leaves
Oh, wow.
daylight saving time and moves its clock back an hour. So in the space of 3 weeks, New York is 5 hours behind London, then 4 hours, then 5
Yeah.
again. And Sydney is either 11, 10, or 9 hours from London, and 16, 15, or 14 hours from New York. And this whole crazy thing happens again in reverse 6 months later.
Wow.
Back in the Dark Ages, this might not have mattered so much, but in the modern interconnected world, planning international meetings happens thousands and thousands of times daily. Shifting in
Yeah.
inconsistent time zones isn't doing netizens any favors. And
Yeah.
countries aren't even consistent about daylight saving time within their own borders. Brazil
Oh, wow.
has daylight saving time, but only if you live in the south. Canada has it too, but not Saskatchewan. Most of Oz
Oh,
does
wow.
daylight saving time, but not Western Australia, the Northern Territory, or Queensland. And of
Hmm.
course, the United States does have daylight saving time unless you live in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, or, as mentioned before, Hawaii and Arizona. But Arizona isn't even
Yeah.
consistent within itself. While Arizona ignores daylight saving time, the Navajo Nation inside of Arizona follows it. Inside of the Navajo Nation is the Hopi Reservation, which, like Arizona, ignores daylight saving time. Going deeper, inside of the Hopi Reservation is another part of the Navajo Nation, which does follow daylight saving time. And finally, there's
Wow.
also a part of the Hopi Reservation elsewhere in the Navajo Nation, which doesn't. So, driving across this
Yeah.
100-mile stretch would technically necessitate 7 clock changes, which is insane. While this is an
Yeah.
unusual local oddity, here's a map showing the different daylight saving and time zone rules in all their complicated glory. It's a
Yeah.
huge mess and constantly needs updating as countries change their laws, which is why
Yeah.
it shouldn't be surprising that even our digital gadgets can't keep the time straight occasionally.
Yeah.
So to review, daylight saving time gives more sunlight in the summer after work, which, depending
Yes.
on where you live, might be an advantage or not, and it
Hmm.
may or may not save electricity. But one thing is sure, it's guaranteed to make
Yes.
something that should be simple, keeping track of time, quite complicated. Which is why, when it comes time to change the clocks, there's always a debate about whether or not we should.
And I think we should get rid of daylight savings time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy my reaction. So you did. You subscribe to your YouTube channel, turn on post notifications. Everyone has a great day. Bye.